Thursday evening, everybody. Welcome back to the LTL True Crime Podcast. I want to welcome everybody back into the live show. If you are here live, feel free to chat along with us as we go through the show this evening. And if you're watching this on replay, of course, we always love when you comment hashtag replay. I want to welcome in all the viewers, all my moderators. We have a brand new member here. I just want to recognize that. Princess, thank you so much for your membership to kick off the show. I appreciate that. And welcome to the rookie detective level. Thank you. Appreciate your support. All right, folks, we're going to talk a little bit more about Chelsea Grimm. I know there has not been a ton of new information out there, nor do I feel like there's going to be. I'm a bit sad that Steve is no longer on this investigation, as he kind of was the window to what Chelsea's life was, over that week, taking her up to her disappearance. So, Steve not being there, Steve not being the boots on the ground anymore, we only have what we have. And my plan is on Sunday, and I may actually do this, I want to get a board and start putting a board together and connecting all these dots. I know a lot of information, and I've gathered a lot of information. I have a lot of notes, and I need to start putting this all together, because ultimately, we need to get Chelsea to come home. That's what we want. But this case, it bugs me. I think about it every day, and I think about her every day. And I always say that, when I get up out of bed and kind of hit my 2 feet, hit the ground, I always kind of look up and just say, Chelsea, where are you? Where are you? And that bothers me. And I do, like I said, I feel kind of a personal connection to this now, because we've done, almost pretty close to almost 2 weeks of reporting, just over 2 weeks. So I will continue to talk about this. I will continue to keep this story alive. We may not talk about it as much as time goes on, but I will go back to it if I hear or feel anything or see anything that I can give back to you. So what I want to do now is first bring up an article. It's probably the newest article that I've seen that has been written about Chelsea. And it has, essentially just a lot of review. This is provided by Crime Feed. Never seen this before, but I just found it interesting. And the title says, "Where's Chelsea Grimm? California woman vanishes while on road trip to attend wedding." So we are trying the best to hold on to a positive outcome scenario and put our faith in the authorities, Stephen Grimm says about his missing daughter. This article was written actually today by Aaron Rasmussen. So it says a California woman planned to attend a wedding in Connecticut. She was reportedly wasn't able to fly with her pet bearded dragon. She decided to drive across country with the reptile, but disappeared somewhere in Arizona. On September 24th, 2023, Chelsea Grimm left her San Diego home that started out for the East and started out for the East Coast just days into her trip. Excuse me. However, her parents said that she was told that she doesn't think that she could do the entire way alone. She decided to skip the wedding and instead do some camping in Arizona. On the 27th, days after she left California, Grimm reportedly arrived in Phoenix and met up with a friend. The following day, she was supposed to see the same friend for lunch, then canceled and instead showed up in Williams, Arizona. Body cam footage recorded on September 28th. And if you haven't seen that, that body cam footage was released in its entirety on the LTL podcast here last night. And I have that. So if you want to watch that, we're actually going to go through that again. I'd love to watch through it one more time at the end of the show. And if you want to refer back to it, I will drop the link in the chat. So it says on the body cam footage, the 28th, obtained by Arizona's family, shows that an officer made contact with 32-year-old Grimm after authorities received a report about a suspicious person near a cemetery. And obviously, we saw that officer says, "How are you doing?" Says the officer, upset to Grimm, according to the footage. Grimm tells the officer she's going to get back on the road. She was doing a photo shoot of the lost soldiers and got a little emotional and was crying. I think that's a ruse, and I think that's a story. She then explains to the officer that she was thinking of camping for the night in the area, but hadn't made up her mind. Grimm adds, "I didn't plan to be here until sunset." The officer directs Grimm to the Love's truck stop and explains that if she parks near the gas station, nobody will bother her. A woodcutter reported seeing Grimm, who was camping in her 2019 Ford Focus SUV in Ashbrook, Arizona, 2 days later on the 30th. When asked, she indicated she was okay. After Grimm concerned her parents reporting her missing on the 4th, her SUV was located in a rural area in Ashbrook area with 2 flat tires, both on the right side of the vehicle, according to the Arizona family. The missing woman's pet dragon, Roxy, was also gone, according to the reports, but many of Grimm's personal belongings were still in her SUV. The Coconino Sheriff's Department in Arizona continues to investigate the case. We're trying our best to hold on to a positive outcome scenario and put our faith in the authorities, Stephen Grimm recently told Arizona family about their missing daughter. Any information about Chelsea Grimm or possible whereabouts is urged to contact Coconino Sheriff's Department at least at 928-774-4523. Again, very short article, very brief update, really more of the same that we've seen and heard. SF Investigate Steve now has put out there that he has nailed down exactly where Chelsea was at the minutes before she went missing, and it's frightening. It keeps me up at night. It keeps me up at night. And again, like I said, I'm just really emotionally invested in this case. Okay, let's bring up Brian Entin. I think this is great. Brian is now talking about this. I just hope it continues to get the national attention that it does. But if not, that these smaller podcasts like myself will continue to talk about what's going on in Chelsea's case. So let's play this. It's about a 20-minute clip. I'd love to hear. I was listening to a little bit of it earlier when I was in the shower getting prepared for the show. And, a lot of review, but it has some really great interviews with her parents in it, and we'll play through this and just see what Brian has to say about this whole situation and what his investigation has brought up. I mean, I can tell you this: what is being shared and seen in the mainstream media is not everything. I've been privileged to have some privileged information given to me. I kind of have an understanding of what's going on behind the scenes. I'm not allowed to talk about a lot of it, but the proper authorities and everybody knows about that, which is good. I just can't publicly go forward with a lot of it because of privacy reasons. But there is a lot of evidence. There's a lot of things that have been turned over. There's a lot of action going on behind the scenes. But the possibility of that all stopping and going cold could be a major possibility. It's coming to, in my opinion, and it's getting a little bit scary, in my opinion, that this could end up into a dead end. And that's what's really sad about this. It really is sad about it. And I will not let this die. I will continue to keep talking about it. I will not let this go under the radar or underground. I'm just going to keep talking about it. And again, it might not be as frequent, but I will continue to do it as new things come up. All right, let's play through this here.
On the anchor desk with her, so I'm excited. But I wanted to focus today's podcast on the Chelsea Grimm case. She is a missing young woman. She was driving from California to Connecticut to go to a wedding, driving across the country. She actually had she had a bearded dragon pet, which is why she didn't want to fly. And she went missing in Arizona. Really tragic situation. I interviewed her parents and the private investigator working the case. I was on Banfield earlier this week and did the interviews, but I wanted to play them again for you guys because I just think it's a really important case for people to pay attention to, not getting a lot of coverage. Take a listen. She left her home in San Diego on September 24th, headed for a wedding in Connecticut. She was traveling alone with the exception of her pet bearded dragon. Remember that. The pet bearded dragon, because that sort of comes into play with this whole thing. 3 days into the trip, she met up with a friend in Phoenix, Arizona. That same day, she called her parents to say the drive was taking longer than she thought, and she planned to skip the wedding and head back to San Diego. She didn't realize just how long the drive was going to be, her mom told me. That was the last time her parents actually heard from her. But it wasn't the last time Grimm was seen altogether. That night, she was spotted at a hotel in Seligman, Arizona. A witness says she seemed disoriented, that she was actually trying to use euros instead of U.S. currency. On September 28th, a police officer responding to a report of a woman acting suspiciously found Grimm in her car at a cemetery, and that was in Williams, Arizona. She told him that she was working on a photography project about missing soldiers and that she had gotten emotional. She told the officer she planned to camp in her car that night. I want to show you this. Here is some of the conversation. It was recorded on the officer's body cam.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm doing great. Are you doing all right?
Yeah, I just was doing a photo shoot of the lost soldiers and got a little emotional, so I was crying before I got back on the road. I was actually thinking of just camping for the night, but I wasn't really sure exactly yet.
Gotcha.
Well, I didn't plan to be here till sunset.
Okay. Just hang out here however long you want. You're good to go.
Awesome.
Okay, so 2 days later, on September 30th, a woodcutter saw Grimm camping in her SUV, and that was near Ash Fork, Arizona. He said she seemed okay. On October 4th, Grimm's parents reported her missing. The next day, October 5th, hunters found Grimm's SUV. It was abandoned. It was in the middle of a dirt road, and that was also outside Ash Fork, Arizona. Where she had spoken again to that woodcutter. That was 5 days earlier. This is what's very strange. Both tires on the right side of the SUV, they were flat. Her cell phone, her wallet, clothing, and sleeping bag were not in the car. And again, this is important. Neither was her pet bearded dragon, who she had gotten pretty recently. We're going to hear more about that in a second. Earlier today, I spoke with Chelsea's parents, Janet and Stephen Grimm. Here's some of that conversation. Can you talk to us a little bit about her itinerary? Was her plan to drive all the way from California to Connecticut? Was it sort of like a road trip she was looking forward to?
Actually, she was originally going to fly, but because she had recently acquired a bearded dragon as a pet, and the airlines wouldn't let her take that animal on the plane. So the day that she was supposed to fly east for this wedding, she called and said, I'm going to drive across the country. And she said, I've packed my car, I have my tent, I have my sleeping bag. I might spend a couple nights in a hotel, I might camp. I'm going to sort of see how it goes. And 3 days later, we talked to her in between, but 3 days later, she said, I'm only as far as Arizona. I just don't think I can do this by myself, which we had tried to explain in the beginning, but she said, so I think I'm going to just skip the wedding and stay here for a couple of days and do a little camping. And then, so she made it sound like she was going to head back to San Diego.
Saw the picture of the bearded dragon. Did she have an adventurous spirit? I'm just thinking like that's a long drive, and the camping was it out of the ordinary for her to sort of be spontaneous?
I'd say yes and no. She was spontaneous. She changed plans a lot. This wasn't the first time she ever changed a plan, for sure. The magnitude of this adventure, quote unquote, of driving across the country, was a lot, even for Chelsea. And we said we thought that was too much. And if she wanted, we'd help her fly from Phoenix home, or, she had a friend in Phoenix that she could leave her car with. We gave her, a bunch of options. But she seemed intent on this once she had chosen it.
What made you report her missing? Like when did you start to get the feeling that something was wrong?
Well, we last talked to Chelsea on the 27th in the afternoon, and she said, I'm going to camp for a couple of days, and so I'm going to be probably where I'm not going to have cell service. And so for a couple of days, we didn't even think about it again, because she had told us she would be offline, and we knew she was in in Arizona, where there are spots where it's not particularly good for communication. So it was after a couple more days after that we started thinking, this is too long for a camping trip, and she should be back. She should be somewhere where she can get in touch. And so on the 4th of October, we reported her missing, and on the 5th, they found her car in Arizona.
He had met up with a friend in Phoenix, I believe. Have you talked to that person? Were they able to give any information about sort of her state of mind or what was going on?
Yes, actually, our other daughter talked to her at great length, and she shared a couple of emails. And she said that they gotten together, and they had
Just going to pull this up real quick. Teresa says, I think it's just strange how disconnected her parents are speaking. I just think it just speaks volumes of their relationship. I mean, I don't know, and I don't want to twist anything or say anything, out of line, but it just, to me, it's giving me an insight as to maybe how the relationship was. I always question, like, what would cause a daughter to live on the East Coast and then move all the way across to California. I mean, there's a specific reason for that. So I don't know. It's interesting. It puzzles me.
a nice visit at her house, and Chelsea and she were going to brunch the next day, but the next day when it got closer to time for brunch, Chelsea said, I need to change plans. So she did, with this other friend.
Did the friend have any information about like any reason to be concerned, or did it just seem like a normal?
Yes, I'm going to read it.
Hangout.
Yeah,
Yes.
not particularly. Yeah, no
Yes,
alarm bells.
I'll read
or
that
anything.
again. Yes, I read it last
She
night.
says they had a nice visit, and she was looking forward to seeing her the next day. So can't really explain that any better.
No, she said she was doing a photo project.
I do know someone was in contact with him today. I do know that. I don't know where it is. The last contact I had with him was on Halloween. And I reached out to him today, texted him, and said, hey, I'm going live tonight. If you would like to call in, we would love to hear from you. I think my audience would love to hear from you. But I did not get anything back. And I don't know. Call Callie if you know. I had some communication with him. So, okay, let's keep playing through.
Project, I think in a cemetery when she interacted with that police officer. Do you know anything more about that? Was she?
I don't know if you've seen Callie. I actually interviewed his friend Elias on my channel. You can go and watch that interview as well. I don't know how long you've been subscribed to the channel or been watching, but I had his friend Elias on the panel as well too.
A photographer. Can you shed light on that a little bit?
Well, she did photography a lot, and she also did paintings, rendered art, to supplement her income, whatever her income was. And so it's not at all unusual for her to have been doing a story or a photojournalist story for some, whatever
Not that I know of.
publication. So that's not unusual. Being in the cemetery is, I guess if you're doing a story on lost soldiers, that maybe there's.
I do know that her mental state was not good. I do know that, and hasn't been. So I can say that. And I think Steve talks about that in the Twitter post.
That's a good place to look.
I think she also had a strong affinity to her grandfather, Janet's dad, who was a World War II veteran. And perhaps that was a draw to the veterans there.
I think that her parents are way off. I actually no. They're just way off in this. They don't know.
Yeah. Have you been able to see that body camera video? I think it was on. Did anything seem out of the ordinary, or did she just? I mean, you obviously know her better than anyone. Did she seem like herself in the video?
Couldn't see much of her. We just heard her voice. That sounded like it was definitely her, in my opinion. No, it didn't seem, out of the ordinary. And one thing that seemed very in the ordinary or in character was how I think she said, "I appreciate your compassion," or something like that. That sounded 110% like Chelsea. She's a very compassionate, empathetic person, kind of an artist at heart, and that sounded just like her.
She had an interaction with the woodcutter also. Have you been able to get any more information about that?
I know the authorities had talked to him, or I believe it's a male. We don't have anything particularly noteworthy to add on that, except he thought she did not seem, in distress or in need. He actually went back some short time later to make sure she didn't want help, and she again a second time declined his help. So his conclusion was that she was in pretty good shape, not worrisome.
It sounds like the bearded dragon was important to her, obviously, if she was going to drive across the country and not fly. The bearded dragon was not found with the car. Does that make you think that she went somewhere and took the pet with her? I mean, is that sort of a good sign to you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Chelsea has always had a special spot in her heart for children, elderly people, and animals. And she would never leave an animal in a car. She just wouldn't do it. So I think that is a hopeful sign. I also think that the chances of people recognizing Chelsea are at least sort of connecting the dots. If they see somebody with a bearded dragon, they're going to take an extra look at that person, because it's unusual to be carrying around a bearded dragon, usually on her shoulder.
It would definitely stand out. So that's a good thing for people to look out for.
Right. She also had a very distinctive tattoo on her left arm, which was a vine with leaves on it that sort of wrapped all the way around her lower arm. So another visual clue.
Have police given you any other information? I mean, is there anything else people watching this should be on the lookout for in a certain area, or are there any other tidbits that they've been able to give you?
I wish there were. There is a chance she got a ride out of there. She seemed to have.
Who are you talking about, Callie? You talking about PJ? Is that who you're talking about?
Left that car of her own volition in an organized way. It was locked. She had taken her wallet and we think her phone and her sleeping bag, among other things, along with the bearded dragon. So the reason I mention that is the area of possibilities where she could be is pretty wide. It's a wide net. So surrounding states have been notified, not just Arizona. The surrounding states, the authorities in Coconino County have been terrific in helping get the word out. And so even if you're, several hours away from there as a viewer and you've seen something that you think might be any kind of tip, we would be forever grateful if that's an important clue. Time is of the essence. And so anything that leads to progress would be awesome.
Gosh, you really have to feel for those parents and what they're going through right now. And Janet and Stephen, they have hired a private investigator to help them with the search for their daughter. And Kelly Townsend joins me now on the phone. Kelly, it's a strange case. Hard to wrap my mind around. I was trying to go over all the details today and the timeline and the fact that the car was found. And that she's missing with the bearded dragon. Have you been able to piece anything together yet? I mean, do you think that she is likely still in Arizona?
Even Brian Entin's confused about this. And that's what I mean. It's just like the timeline and the dates and this and that. It just like, oh my God, it melts your brain sometimes. Like I literally need to shut it down for about 24 to 48 hours and then just regroup. And that's what I hopefully plan on doing here. And on Sunday, I'm gonna spend some more time on this and try to timeline this out with all the, the new information that we've seen and heard. And it's just a lot. It's a lot to process in such a short amount of time.
Arizona at this point?
Well, that's very difficult to tell right now. I mean, the circumstances, you're right. They are bizarre. I mean, and the body cam video of the law enforcement officer talking to her. I just recently my agency's just recently been brought on, but I have an interest in, he recommended for her to go to Love's. And I'm working with the Coconino law enforcement right now and trying to find out, has anybody gone there to check out the CCTV? Because if she actually followed the officer's advice and was camping there or just sleeping in her car there, did she get approached? And I know the Love's, those Love's gas stations, I guess, truck driver stations, they have places where people can sleep. Truck drivers do it all the time, showers and stuff like that. So
they're so off.
Right now, we're just trying to gather as much information as we can. Coconino County Sheriff's Department has been outstanding.
Yeah, this is what I mean. When the mainstream media jumps on, when you have a PI that's giving you literally boots on the ground coverage every single day, I mean, they literally could just read through Steve's tweets and know exactly what has been going on in the investigation. The mainstream media is so behind in this. And, they jump on because they want to get the clicks and views, get this out there, and then they'll just move along to the next one because, it's not going to be that important to them, but they're just so far behind on this. And that's why I say, like, independent media is the future. We really have the time to delve into this and keep diving into it. This is not, and I hate to say this. So I hate to say this too, is, I call them like the sexy crimes. Idaho 4 is a sexy crime. It's got, murder and 4 people and a person that is this mysterious person, and they're not saying anything in court, and then his defense team is doing all these weird court motions and trying to get indictments dismissed. You know what I mean? It's so much drama to it. This here is just, it's a missing persons case, so they just go, they glaze on it, and it will just be, walked over. And that's why I feel that, this eventually will go cold in the media. You won't hear anything about this pretty much pretty soon. It's sad. It's really, really sad. And that's why I'm committed to keep just talking about this. Like I said, not every day, not every week, but coming back and refreshing and bringing this up. And if we hear anything or anybody knows that, if they come across my podcast and know anything, reach out to me. Let's talk live podcast at gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. So Callie's asking, is Steve still looking for her? No, he's actively not looking for her. Actively not. I think on the side, he may be still doing some stuff just under his own investigating, but not anything, towards the family or anything like that anymore. So it's sad because Steve was really the lifeline, the boots on the ground lifeline, and that door now has closed. That door has closed. I actually reached out to Steve. I reached out to Steve today, and I wrote him a note, and I'll read that note to you. I have no problem reading it. Because I did, use a lot of his tweets and a lot of his investigating, and I reported a lot of it. And I said, Steve, I'm saddened to learn that you're no longer involved in Chelsea's case. Your hands on reporting has been invaluable, filling in crucial gaps in understanding of her disappearance. Despite not personally knowing Chelsea, the time I've invested in covering the truth has forged a connection to her. I share your hope that one day we both can speak with Chelsea and convey our relief that she's returned home safely. Your dedication to the investigation is commendable. Keep up the excellent work, Brian. I really meant that when I said that to Steve. He did a lot of great work. He's the only person that's been out there on the ground. He's the only person that has been on the ground. And I feel like that lifeline now is cut off because I can't be in Arizona. I can't go to Arizona. I wish I could. I really do. I wish I could, but I cannot. But it sucks. It really sucks. It really sucks. All right, we'll keep playing through this.
Working with us. Some law enforcement departments, they don't work with you just because you're a private investigator. But because I'm interested because there was 2 flat tires. It was out on a dirt road. How far was the body cam video where she was talked to by the police there to where the car was found? Because did somebody interact with?
Oh, I can let everybody know this. I do have more case information coming to me. It should be here probably sometime next week. And I will get that information out on my channel. You'll be able to look at it, be able to view it. It is part of the case. It is public, but you already know I'm going to be the first one to release it, just like I was the first one to release the full body cam footage. And I worked diligently on that. So, and I want to thank Carrie as well, too. Carrie did a lot of work. She's done a lot of work for me, and we made a lot of things happen. So without Carrie, a lot of the case information that we've gotten, I wouldn't have that. So I want to thank her for helping me out. We have a lot more case information coming. So thank you, Carrie. I appreciate it. All right, let's keep playing through.
And then they drove down that road. I mean, we're all assuming at this point right now because nobody really knows for sure except God. Right. I mean, that's where we are right now. We have had some interesting things come to light just as of today. Matter of fact, just a few hours ago that we're working on that could really generate stuff that we're probably going to want to get out on the news if it comes to fruition, because we may have something that we want the world to look out for.
Yeah, I would imagine when you start asking questions and like you said, around that gas station, first of all, the thought of a young woman sleeping alone with just a bearded dragon in a gas station parking lot makes me a little nervous. Can you share a little more about what you've discovered in the last couple of hours, or give us
I really can't at this point. I really can't because number one, we have to verify. Number two, we have to interview. And these people literally just came up on the radar today. And so we're trying to get interviews set up and composite sketches and things like that.
The tidbit about her trying to use, I think it was like euros instead of dollars, and possibly being disoriented. Do you know anything more about that? Because her parents, told me, she was an artist. It was.
I know about this, but I want to hear. This. This will be interesting.
Odd for her to be in the cemetery taking pictures as part of her art project.
I know so much. I just can't talk about it publicly. But this will be interesting. What he has to say about the hotel video. This would be interesting.
It just seems strange to me that there was that one account that maybe she was like disoriented at one point.
Yeah, right now I can't say that. I would verify that with you right now. I mean, I thought it was a little odd where she was crying, but she the law enforcement officer walked up to her and she was crying, and he asked her, and she said it's because she just took pictures at the graveyard and she was weeping for the soldiers. I don't know. I've never personally met Chelsea, but she seems like a nice heart, very compassionate girl. But was she actually crying and just saying that to law enforcement? You follow what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah,
or perhaps she was moved by the art project she was working on. We'll stay in touch with you, Kelly.
Not that I saw, Carrie.
We want to stay on this story, and I'm glad that you're involved, and I feel for those parents. I just want to put out the phone number. Anyone with information, you can contact the sheriff's office there. The number is 928-774-4523. Hopefully, we will have some good news to report. So again, if anyone has information, you can call the sheriff's office there in Arizona. The number is 928-774-4523. And I hope everybody has a good week. I got to go to bed at like super early tonight because I'm doing the morning show again tomorrow. So, and I'm kind of a night owl. So,
okay, I'm going to shut this down. But yeah, that's Brian Entin's reporting on this. You know what he's got. So let's go over to see what Steve's last tweet was about this case. I just want to commend Steve on his excellent reporting, his boots on the ground. I really do appreciate it. And he did a lot of hard work. And it's just sad that Steve is not going to be part of the case anymore. Let's see. Danielle St. Brian, he had other thoughts about why she was crying, just like you said 2 weeks ago. Yep. I think that I think there was some going on, and that's what's made her eyes water. And I think that she used the fallen soldiers as an excuse to kind of clear all that up, but I digress. Okay, let's go to this tweet. I think it's important. This is the last unfortunate boots on the ground for Chelsea as of right now. So FS Investigates tweets, I'm going to make my last post about Chelsea Grimm's case. There is not much more I can disclose publicly. I firmly believe that full transparency is needed to solve missing persons cases, but this is not my decision to make. I was contracted for 4 days of the search efforts. I did 9 days, and the other days were pro bono. In those days, I'm proud of what I was able to accomplish. Motel surveillance, viewing Love's surveillance, other businesses, Chelsea's visit at 4:10 p.m. on the 28th, and interviewing 3 employees, inspecting and searching her vehicle at the police impound yard, taking possession of all evidence from the sheriff's department, including her computer, a phone, purse, wallet, journals, receipts, and her Canon camera, which had over 400 photos from the area she went missing, miles and miles of foot search, and over 120 gigs of drone footage. I want to already just say, when they're just talking about the Loves, it's already been there. So the mainstream media is already behind. So don't believe all this shit about, the sketches we have to put together and the people that just came up. It's all bullshit. Steve's been there. Steve's accounted for a lot. Believe me. All this guy on the podcast. This, if anything breaks, we're gonna get it out there. We gotta get the sketches and the composites together. No, you don't. No, you really don't. No. One of the last photos Chelsea took is a selfie timestamped at 5:51 on September 30th, putting her inside the vehicle and almost dark at the same exact spot where her car was recovered. I mean, that's essentially the last, the last spot that we know of Chelsea. I mean, Steve has literally gutted it down to the time of when she went missing. Hundreds of text messages were also recovered. The single biggest piece of evidence, in my opinion, is a handwritten note from September 28th that is rather cryptic, but after interviewing an employee at a business and a few other of Chelsea's friends, I was able to figure out the meaning and significance. It is not a blank note. I'm not going to say that because I might get dinged for talking about that word. This was also this was all passed along to the lead investigator, and I hope they will follow up on it. The investigator and their family have decided to bring in a CS trafficking organization from the East Coast to conduct further search efforts. For this reason, I will go silent to make sure I do not interfere with their efforts. I truly hope they locate Chelsea. I hope they respect the goodwill that has been built with the ranch owners, locals, and law enforcement. I will conclude by saying I do not believe there is a crime scene in this case. I believe it's 30% chance after blowing out 2 tires, she hiked out safely, possibly the next morning, and had someone pick her up or found a way to continue her journey to stay off the grid. Excuse me 1 second. I will mention there were 3 bills of sale for low price vehicles she purchased recently, and those should be investigated because there is an eyewitness sighting of her in a gray car, not SUV, or 2. She was executing her plan to find a new life and stay off the grid. In a diminished mental state, and after blowing out 2 tires, she hiked out shortly after the 551 photo and truly got lost in the dark by taking one of the many roads that fork off Farm Road 6 she was traveling on. And I'm going to go back to the gray SUV car and talk about that. At night, without a compass, a lost person's behavior statistics show that people tend to walk in an arc, even though the thing that they think they are walking is a straight line. I would widen the search grid out and check a search band starting at about 8 miles from the car and as far as 15 miles out in an arcing formation from west to northwest of her car's location. As with every case, Chelsea weighs heavy on my heart, and I have to concur. This case 100% weighs heavy on my heart as well. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is specifically about this case. As much as the passion and everything that I've put into Idaho, there's just something about this case in particular that has just really struck something inside with me, a nerve, I guess you can say, because it's unnerving and it's disturbing, and it just bothers me. It really bothers me every day. I wait for like a new piece of information or something to come up or a news article or something. It says, I hope by a miracle she's okay. In case she is not okay, I hope they ramp up private search efforts to find her before the snow falls. I appreciate that investigators and the family trust me with the search efforts for those 4 days, and I hope for nothing but success to the new organization coming in. I hope everyone can understand that I can't answer further questions or reply to comments on this case. I've attached one photo proving she was in her car at 5:51 Pacific time on September 30th. For those that will say maybe she didn't take the photo, there are others at the same time where she is visible, but out of respect for her privacy, I'm not showing a photo that includes her in it. Godspeed, Chelsea. Hashtag Chelsea Grimm. And that is that photo. September 30th, 2023 at 8:51 seconds p.m. And you can see there that was 21:46 of 21:52. So there were what, 7? Do I got that right? 46 to 52. 6. There were 6 more photos taken after this photo. Steve, if you're listening, you're watching, I know that you've watched my show. You've personally told me that in messages that we've had. I just want to recognize you and say thank you for everything that you've done. You've been pretty much the lifeline here for LTL podcast or true crime podcast to Chelsea's case. And we salute you. I know my chat salutes you. We think all of your efforts have not, gone unnoticed. You've done an amazing job, and we certainly appreciate it. And I'm sad that you're no longer on this case, because I know I'm repeating myself here, but you truly were the lifeline and the boots on the ground um, in this investigation, and you did a hell of a job, and you've done a lot of work, and thank you. Really, thank you. But I want to go to what he talked about, this gray car, and I have a map that I put together, and I really want to go through it and update it as well. But there was a witness sighting that I took from a Facebook post. Oh, excuse me. And it says, I don't know if anyone reported seeing her with a guy in an older Camry that was grayish to sandish color, but I seen that car at Circle K near the Prescott Airport on the 2nd. A female was holding a bearded dragon on her chest. Besides the bearded dragon, I have no other indication it was her. She didn't seem to be in distress, though, as the male driver went inside and left her alone for about 10 minutes. So if Steve is talking about this specific incident, again, this may be something that the other authorities that come up can look into. And that Circle K is right here in Prescott. And as you can see, the airport is right there. Now, I'm not saying that Chelsea jumped on an airplane and left, because if she jumped on an airplane and left, you got to use your ID to get on a plane, to buy a plane ticket, or if you have a passport, you would need to show your passport. So it totally would be traceable. But this is the said Circle K. If I was an investigator, I don't know if Steve has already checked out the security camera. I'm sure they do, and they have one right there, believe it or not. So hopefully that camera footage was pulled to see if anything had happened, or they did come across her on the 2nd in that area. Okay, so what I want to do now, if you haven't seen it already, I'm going to go back and just show the police report that I was able to obtain. Something here first on LTL that you would not see anywhere else. So we'll pull that up right here. This is the police report from Williams when Chelsea was in that body cam video. Coconino County, against suspect suspicious vehicle activity. Immediate was reported at on 9/28/23 at 19:36, and you had the complainant's name here and the location of where it was. I've redacted some of the information, like her plate number and her VIN number. Doesn't really need to be out there. People don't need to see that. And you can see here with the notes, it says, reported advised there was a white car that had been there for about an hour and a half. Stated there was a 101, which is the person, there earlier that was hunched over the car. The 101 doesn't appear to be near the vehicle now. Interesting. 153 advised no suspicious activity. 101 was taking photos of memorial and got emotional. She stated she was aware of expired registration. You're going to find that out there in the video, and will be taking care of it clear. And that's it. And that was logged at 9/28/23, 19:49 and 6 seconds. Incident closed. And here was the communication here on the dispatch log when they talked. Okay, so let's go up and play it one more time. Full body cam footage, first here, released on the LTL podcast channel. If you want to look it over, you can here. And let's watch through this one more time, and then we're going to wrap up this show for the evening.
Hello. Hello. How are
are you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm doing great. Are you doing all right?
Yeah, I just was doing a photo shoot of the lost soldiers and got a little emotional, so I was crying before I got back on the road.
Yeah, okay. I'm just making sure someone called it in. So
I'm sorry.
No, you're quite all right. I mean,
I was just doing a photo shoot. Yeah. Packed up. I'm gonna leave soon.
Okay.
But I just didn't want to drive like that. It's sad.
I got you. You've been smoking a little bit of marijuana?
Earlier today, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Do you have your license on you by any chance?
Yeah.
It gets me all emotional too.
Yeah, it's just, I'm trying to do a series on the lost and the forgotten people in this country.
Yeah, no, I get it. How long ago did you smoke marijuana?
Oh, hours and hours ago.
Okay, right on.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, just hang tight for me really fast, and I'll be right back. Okay.
Okay.
That won't be much of a bother. One 5 3. Can you 10-9 that registration or the 2-8? I'm sorry.
Now, for anybody that's going to poke here at me, and I heard something about this, like, oh, is that her license? Is that her this? Listen, this was the video that was given to me from Coconino. If they felt that it was anything that needed to be redacted, they would have done it. So don't yell at me. Yell at Coconino Sheriff's Department. That's what they sent me, and that's how I got it. And if it was anything that they needed to blur and redact, they would have taken care of it. So
29 negative. 2 weeks showing expired as of 9/8/23 on a 2019 Ford. R is going to be last of Grimm, first of Chelsea out of Long Branch.
10-4. Copy California 2729.
Go ahead.
It'll be same as the RO. It'll be last of Grimm, George, Robert, Ida, Mary, first of Chelsea, Charles, Henry, Edward, Lincoln, Sam, Edward, Adam. Date of birth is going to be 3/22/1991. Oh, well, unavailable.
Of course.
Hey, so I'm up here at this suspicious call, and this lady, she said she smoked marijuana like a couple hours ago. I don't really see signs of impairment, but I don't really know how to look for it all that well for marijuana. She's not doing anything. She just took some photo shoots of the soldier memorial, and she said she's getting pretty emotional about it. So she just decided to, just to like hang out and cool down, and because she's crying. So, right. Yeah.
153. Can you go ahead with the whole line?
Oh, so sorry. Hold on just a second. 153. OLN is going to be Young 9382392. Once again, it's out of California.
10-4.
Sorry, go ahead.
So, if just warn her, just say, hey, I don't see signs of impairment, but you're also not driving.
Mm-hmm.
So, I encourage you to maybe call someone else to drive, especially because you're in a fragile state. And say, but if you are driving and I do see impaired behavior, you have said to me that you smoke marijuana. I don't want to get into that, so I would encourage you to find someone else who could come drive for you. Or just walk and give her a PA ride to her hotel or whatever, if this car is safe place,
Yeah, okay, it is.
But there's nothing we can do to force her to do anything at this point.
Okay.
So.
I got you.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bye.
I just think it's interesting, and Tsunami was just saying about the report not being so descriptive. The thing that I find very interesting in it, it says that she was the hunched over in the car for about an hour. I found that to be interesting. And that's why she got reported. And the thing that you'll notice here too, there's a lot of cars that coming back and forth in here. You'll see headlights as he gets back out, as he's talking to her again. You'll see headlights coming and you'll see taillights going. So there's a lot of travel and activity through there.
Just run it like.
I don't think she was asleep.
10-4, thank you, man. All right. I just wanted to let you know your registration is expired.
Is it really?
Yeah, September of 23. So it was September 9th. So no
Oh,
big deal. I just
okay.
wanted to let you know, bring it to your attention.
Okay.
Here's your driver's license
Thank
back.
you.
I know you told me that you smoked marijuana and you're kind of, well, obviously I would be in an emotional state as well. I don't know if you want somebody else to drive you or if you just want to hang out here for a little bit longer, you're more than welcome to do that.
Yeah, if it's okay with you,
Yeah.
if I hang out here for another like 15 or 20 and then head on the road, that would be my plan,
Sure.
I think.
Yeah, I don't see any signs of impairment or anything like that. So
Yeah, no, I mean, with my eyesight and then crying, it's not the best combination at night.
Dude, I
I was
totally
like, I'm
understand.
just gonna like cry on the road, or I'm just gonna sit here and cry. So I
got
have
you.
my dragon, and I'm just.
Oh, that's freaking cool. I didn't even notice that.
Thanks, Rosie.
Wow, Rosie,
I think she's asleep.
Wow, right on.
She got bored.
Yeah. Do you have like a hotel around here or anything?
I don't. I was actually thinking of just camping for the night, but I wasn't really sure exactly yet.
Gotcha.
Well, I didn't plan to be here till sunset.
Okay. You can't camp in the city limits. It's kind of like a city statute we have.
Okay, good.
But you can always go. I don't know if you can see like the yellow lights over there, the Loves. It's a trucker stop in the gas station area. You can just sleep there. Nobody will bother you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yes.
Might get some good shots at sunrise too there.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That love that. That's, to me, someone that's like, all right, go away now. I don't want you here anymore. Go away. Yep. Go away. Uh,
Sunrise here too. If you ever want to take photo shoots of like the statues in the morning, dude, it's really cool because the sun's like rises right behind them.
Amazing. Okay, I'll probably stay at the truck stop then, save some money, and then come over for the sunrise.
You got it.
Cool.
All right. Well, you have a great time. I'm Blake.
Thanks, Blake.
You got it.
Appreciate your compassion.
You got it. So yeah, just hang out here however long you want. You're good to go.
Awesome.
And then take care of registration, obviously, because if
I could do that online.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Perfect.
Hey, honey. If like a county stops you, they're not going to be as nice as me. They're kind of dicks. So.
Okay.
I think that's funny.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. Have a great rest of your day.
I mean, it's a pretty well-lit area. I mean, you can see all the lights in and around there. See all that background, all those lights? That's all, you know.
One 153. All be clear. There's no suspicious activity going on. She just took some photo shoots of the memorial statues, and she got a little bit emotional, so she's just hanging out.
Nope.
She said that,
I didn't believe in one word.
She is aware of her expired registration, and she's going to take care of it right now.
That's when he marks and shuts his camera down, camera off. Well, that's where we're at. That's where we're at, my friends. That's all I have at the moment. You know what? Let me see something. Give me a second. I tried. Okay. Can't talk. Text me. Hang on a second. Hang on a second. Let's see something. I'm waiting on something right now. Hang on. Nothing like dead air, right? Wow, wow, wow. Let's see. Let's see. I'm just waiting for a response. Let's go back to this real quick. I'm just waiting for a response and okay, hang on. Let's play this. Let's go to just go back to Brian Entin really quick. News Nation. I'm gonna give this a couple minutes. I'm kind of working on something live right now, but I'm not sure we're gonna get out of it. Okay, let's play this.
Gosh, you really have to feel for those parents and what they're going through right now. And Janet and Stephen, they have hired a private investigator to help them with the search for their daughter. And Kelly Townsend joins me now on the phone. Kelly, it's a strange case. Hard to wrap my mind around. I was trying to go over all the details today and the timeline and the fact that the car was found and that she's missing with the bearded dragon. Have you been able to piece anything together yet? I mean, do you think that she is likely still in Arizona at this point?
Well, that's very difficult to tell right now. I mean, the circumstances, you're right. They are bizarre. I mean, and the body cam video of the law enforcement officer talking to her. I just recently my agency's just recently been brought on.
I don't have one right now.
But I have an interest in, he recommended for her to go to Love's. And I'm working with Coconino law enforcement right now and trying to find out, has anybody gone there to check out the CCTV? Because if she actually followed the officer's advice and was camping there or just sleeping in her car there, did she get approached? And I know the Love's, those Love's gas stations, I guess, truck driver stations, they have places where people can sleep. Truck drivers do it all the time, showers and stuff like that. So I'm right now, we're just trying to gather as much information as we can. Coconino County Sheriff's Department has been outstanding working with us. Some law enforcement departments, they don't work with you just because you're a private investigator. But because I'm interested because there was 2 flat tires. It was out on a dirt road. How far was the body cam video where she was talked to by the police there to where the car was found? You know, I mean, because did somebody interact with her and then they drove down that road? I mean, we're all assuming at this point right now because nobody really knows for sure except God. So, you know,
Right.
I mean, that's where we are right now. We have had some interesting things come to light just as of today. Matter of fact, just a few hours ago that we're working on that could really generate stuff that we're probably going to want to get out on the news if it comes to fruition, because we may have something that we want the world to look out for.
Yeah, I would imagine when you start asking questions and like you said, around that gas station, first of all, the thought of a young woman sleeping alone with just a bearded dragon in a gas station parking lot makes me a little nervous.
Well,
Can you
Okay, the voice that you're hearing on this is Kelly Townsend. He's the lead PI that the family hired to investigate. But I have my thoughts. I still stand with Steve. I think Steve did a phenomenal job. I don't know Kelly personally. I mean, there's nothing that's been transparent about what his investigation has been. I mean, Steve really was the boots on the ground. I don't know. I think they're just so far behind. I think Steve was so far ahead in this case. And I'm upset that
share a
Steve's
little
no
more
longer a part
about
of it.
what you've discovered in the last couple of hours, or give us
I really
a
can't
little
at this
tidbit?
point. I really can't because number one, we have to verify. Number two, we have to interview, and these people literally just came up on the radar today, and so we're trying to get interviews set up and composite sketches and things like that.
The tidbit about her trying to use, I think it was like euros instead of dollars, and possibly being disoriented. Do you know anything more about that? Because her parents, told me, she was an artist. It wasn't odd for her to be in the cemetery taking pictures as part of her art project. It just seems strange to me that there was that one account that maybe she was like disoriented at one point.
Yeah, right now I can't say that I would verify that with you right now. I mean, I thought it was a little odd where she was crying, but the law enforcement officer walked up to her and she was crying, and he asked her, and she said it's because she just took pictures at the graveyard and she was weeping for the soldiers. I don't know. I've never personally met Chelsea, but she seems like a nice heart, very compassionate girl. But was she actually?
So we're at 84 likes. Could we possibly get this to 100 in the next, 30 seconds? I don't know if we're going to be able to, but if you haven't smashed that like button, I really would appreciate it. I really, really would appreciate it. 100 likes would be really great. This will help continue to spread the awareness with Chelsea and, just do the right thing. Do the right thing to try to get her home and get information to get her home. All right, let's keep playing through this, and then we're going to wrap this one up.
Actually crying and just saying that to law enforcement. You follow what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, or perhaps she was moved by the art project she was working on. We'll stay in touch with you, Kelly. We want to stay on this story, and I'm glad that you're involved and assisting the family. I know you just came on. I think it is. Yeah, I feel for those parents. I just want to put out the phone number. Anyone with information, you can contact the sheriff's office there. The number is 928-774-4523. Hopefully, we will have some good news to report.
Thank you for watching.
All right, folks. That's all we got for tonight. We'll continue to talk about this. I don't know what frequency we'll be able to talk about it, as I'm not going to see too much more information on this, but I will continue to dig in and see what I can find and what I can publicly talk about. I reached out to someone to try to see if I can make it happen tonight, and that doesn't look like it's going to happen. So I gave them the opportunity, but they just don't want to. So we'll leave it at that. We're at just about over an hour. I appreciate everybody this evening for tuning in to LTL True Crime Podcast. I will continue to report on Chelsea's case And I will be back on Saturday night, late Saturday night, probably like 10:15, 10:30. We're going to do some Idaho content. And maybe I pop up and do a morning stream tomorrow, but I just don't really have anything prepared right now. So I will continue to cover this case. Absolutely, Katie. I will continue to cover this case. I don't care if I have to do review after review after review. I will do it. And as new information comes out and we get anything, I will be there to report on it. So thank you all for being here. Thank you all for caring about Chelsea. We will continue to report until she's brought home. And I strongly believe that she will. She's out there somewhere. And Chelsea, if you're watching, listen, we all want you to come back home. We all want you to be safe. If you need to talk or you are in any type of danger or anything and you can get to a phone, 774-855-9400. Call LTL Podcast. We will help you. This community cares about you. You have a lot of friends that care about you. And we are pulling for you to come home and be safe. So that's going to be it this evening. Thank you all for being here. If you're new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe, like, share, comment. I would appreciate it. We're getting very close to 12,000 subscribers. I just hit 11,891. Thank you all for being here. I do appreciate it. We will continue to push on and push forward like we always do. Everybody have an amazing Thursday night. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.